As promised, Santosh is joining us now. Santosh, good afternoon. Santosh, what an interesting point. I remember your legendary call on an insurance company several years back. Uh, and now we are talking about another unique insurance company making its way to D Street, Star Health. Have you been reading up on this one or insurance as a whole? What are your thoughts on that space?
Talk about what's happening in the sector and how I think about it. See, this entire space, one, we need to remember that has been impacted severely by COVID. So the negative impact was visible in the current year numbers across the board in the entire general insurance space, and more so for the health insurers like Star Health or Care Insurance for people like that. Now that this is a 1 year negative, but it has multi-year positives coming into it. So as such, my view is very simple in this particular space. These companies are like consumer companies. Actually, you need these products. These companies are like consumer companies, and they have an additional advantage where they can pick their customers. They need to also pick their customers. Now, some of these companies are at the top of their game. So I would expect that this entire space can grow in excess of 12 to 15% for almost a decade. And within that space, next 2 3 years could be significantly more positive because we are going to see some better, because this loss which has happened needs to be absorbed by the insurance company. So there could be some pricing action as well in this particular space. So you might see that next couple of years, the growth in profitability might be higher than the overall growth. And so it's a structural industry where next couple of years are going to be quite interesting from a profitability point of
Santosh, how are you looking at this entire NBFC slash housing finance and especially retail centric? Every NBFC now has actually borne the brunt of wholesale and now are turning their model to tech enabled retail. But will the market bite into this? What do you like in this entire area? What are the areas which you like, themes?
view. So from a market perspective, market only bites when they get the numbers. So when they get the numbers, they're going to bite. So the thing is, I think last time when we were discussing in this call also, I said that all these companies next 1 or 2 quarters, maybe one more quarter, where you might see that the past, so you get NPLs and then you need to write off. So the NPLs have happened, they are writing it off, they are providing it for. So next maybe 1 quarter or maybe at best 2 quarters more, that will. But next 2 to 3 years, what we have seen from this particular space is that if you have not been frauded against, so if you have not suffered a fraud, then what will happen is next 2 3 years there will be high growth on the top line, as well as there could be even negative credit cost in 1 or 2 years. So what we are seeing today is a big surge in credit cost, but this it's very much possible that in next 2 to 3 years there could be 1 year where these companies can have even negative credit cost. And this is what we have seen in last 20 years in this particular industry. So the housing financiers currently, see, whenever the cycle starts, and we have seen multiple times in lending, the cycle starts with housing, wherein everyone wants to do housing, and that's why there is a lot of pressure on yields. But when the cycle gets positive on the economy side, the pressure on the NIMs will also reduce. So you will have three levers to play with in this particular industry for next 2 to 3 years. You have the top line lever through the loan book growth. You have the NIM lever because the competition might slow down a little bit, and the better guys will keep on getting market share. And then you have the credit cost lever, which will definitely play out because you have written off a lot of assets, you've provided for a lot of assets, and these are all secured loans. So with that, I simply think that this is a space where one needs to be for next 2 to 3 years.
Do you believe that there's a start of the lending cycle which is actually happening and the credit cycle, and which are the companies which are best placed to actually achieve that?
So I would say definitely there are signs. So see, on housing, I can clearly see that it has started. But overall lending side, there are signs to show that even the corporate side, we are seeing some bit of demand coming in. So this was the area which was missing, that the corporate demand for loans. So on the corporate side also, we are seeing some bit. It's still not very high, but we are seeing some bit of demand coming in even from the corporate side. So and if there is this commodity cycle which is positive, if it keeps on happening for next 2 to 3 years, and if there is an infra demand, then the corporate would kick in. So clearly, the beneficiaries are going to be either the housing finance companies or the large banks. So these are the two parts which will be clear beneficiaries of whatever is happening. So I think that there's a clear scenario wherein for next 2 to 3 years, these large banks or the housing finance companies might do really well.
Apart from that, where do you see margin of safety? What are the sub themes you are working on, Santosh, at your research desks, where which is
So
not really fully priced in right now?
So I think the one area which I keep on talking about is all these real estate companies, because my belief is that last decade was written off for this entire sector. So real estate globally is one of the largest sector, and then we can't actually live without houses. So that there is no question about that would we need houses or not. Sometimes we talk about that would we need this or not something right, but I never question that would we need houses or would we need offices. We will need houses and we will need offices. But for last one decade is written off, and that's why it has meant that huge consolidation has happened in the sector. So I think you are just looking at the tip of the iceberg when you are looking at the real estate sector showing some bit of demand coming in. Because still the pricing action has not started, and we have seen how vicious the pricing action could be in this particular space. So I really like the real estate theme as such, and we have been working a lot on this particular space. And specifically now, the commercial real estate side seems to be much more sort of where the pricing action has not happened even from the market side, because our belief was, or I would say, a lot of people believe that actually we will be working from home, and then it will be a model wherein a lot of people will work from home. And the realization now is that actually everyone wants their employees to be in offices. So this commercial real estate is another area where I think that there could be a lot of action coming.
Are you playing that? Which are the, just for understanding purposes, which are the highest commercial exposure companies in India?
I think the largest would be the combined entity which is coming up from India Bulls, which is the embassy company which is coming up. The second one, DLF, is another one. Prestige, and you have got the resi guys like Godrej. So you've got multiple guys who are there, Oberoi. So you've got multiple players in this particular space which are really good and which are high quality.
Point. In fact, the first time ever, Embassy Developments have actually shared a very detailed presentation as well with India Bull quarterly results in the gone by. So that is something can give you a glimpse of what lies ahead. What are the risks according to you, Santosh? As I know you, you are relatively more conservative guy as a market participant and a researcher than aggression. So,
Yeah.
what are the risks on the table which you are also mapping?
So the biggest risk to me is next 2 years all these elections. What I don't want is whatever the government has done on the reform side. So you see the farm bill, right? I don't think that's going to impact much. But means I don't want that next 2 years where we have got multiple elections coming in, the government trying to do much more of what is publicly liked rather than what is financially good. So that is one risk I would watch out for. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen, but I would definitely watch out for that particular risk. Another risk which everyone keeps on highlighting is about inflation and then the lower liquidity. I think that to me is a big opportunity, because inflation generally, if it is below 10%, it has been when it has been great, because inflation actually comes in when you have got demand, high demand coming in. So we don't want an inflation scenario like 12, 14 where it moved over in double digits. But yeah, between say 4, 5% to 7, 8%, I think that's a good scenario to be in if the growth rate is very high. And even the global liquidity rising up is showing you that actually the monetary policy or the authorities globally think that the economy can now bear those shocks. So actually the economy is in a better footing. So I think those risks will be more from a shorter duration perspective, will create volatility. But the bigger risk I will think from an Indian market perspective is looking at these 2 years as a little bit of from the lens of from the political lens.
Right. Santosh, my last question to you is that if the next 12 to 24 months are going to be challenging and wobbly, but at the same time economic expansion and earning expansion continues, which are the spaces or sectors, top three or four of them, where they could present very good buying opportunities because earnings is expanding and environment is challenging. So good to accumulate.
So actually, this is in a bit funny because this time the earning is expanding in sectors which is traditionally been said to be non-quality. I don't believe in quality or non-quality in sectors, so that let me be very clear around that. There is nothing to me like a quality sector or non-quality sector. But the cyclicals are the ones wherein the most of the earning recovery is happening because they have come up from almost like a lost bracket, and that's where the valuations are still quite cheap. So I would stay with the cyclical part of it. Even the auto part, other than the two wheelers, I think other parts are very much safe. The two wheeler is a place where I think transition is happening, and I don't know how the transition will play out. But other than that, the two wheeler part, I think even on the auto side, it should do well because it's done nothing for last 5 to 6 years. And then you've got other cyclicals like the infra side, the real estate side, even lending is one part I'm really bullish on. Insurance, I think, has not done from a stock perspective for last 2 years, but those companies have done exceptionally well. So these are the areas where I would like to be. See, the one area I think where inflation is a problem is the high valued stocks because their valuations were only for a very long period. I used to read notes that the valuations are justified because we are in a very low inflation environment and it will remain like that for multiple years. So that will be an area where I think we need to be worried about. That is the very high valuation stocks.
Right, Santosh, always enjoy chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to chatting with you on Eating of Swadesh as well in our
Yeah,
mother tongue next time.
definitely. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Bye bye. Have a nice day. With that, it's a wrap on the show. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye.